Imagine coming home after a long day, only to find two massive pickup trucks jammed into your garage. Not yours, not invited, just sitting there like they owned the place. The woman responsible thought she was clever. What she didn't know was that I had already leased that garage to the county sheriff. My name's Daniel, though most folks in my small town just call me Dan. I'm 58 years old, retired from the auto repair business, and if there's one thing I value, it's order. I own a decent-sized property just outside city limits, a ranch-style house, a big backyard, and a 3-car detached garage I built myself years ago. Since I no longer needed all the space, I leased one side of that garage to the county sheriff's department. They stored equipment, emergency gear, and sometimes even a cruiser or two. It was official, legal, and mutually beneficial. The sheriff and I had a handshake trust, and that lease was on paper. It wasn't just some storage shed, it was part of county property, tied to their operations. That's why when my new neighbor Karen showed up, things were bound to get interesting. Karen had moved into the rental property next door about 3 months earlier. Middle-aged, sharp-tongued, and always carrying her little dog like it was a crown jewel. From the moment she arrived, she acted like the neighborhood owed her respect. She complained about everything. Kids playing too loudly, lawnmowers starting too early, even the smell of barbecue drifting into her yard. But her favorite topic? My garage. Such a waste, she said once, peering over the fence. Why do you need all that space? I could put it to good use. At first, I laughed it off. I figured it was just neighborly chatter. But soon, she began circling back to it every conversation. She hinted about wanting to store a couple of vehicles in there. I told her no. Firmly. Karen didn't take kindly to the word no. And that's when things started to spiral. One Friday evening, after running errands in town, I pulled into my driveway. From the distance, I noticed something strange. The side door of my garage was wide open. My gut tightened. When I walked up and peeked inside, I nearly dropped my grocery bags. There they were, 2 massive lifted pickup trucks, parked side by side in my garage. Chrome rims, oversized tires, mud still clinging to the wheel wells. They weren't mine. The smell of gasoline and oil filled the air. Grease stains dripped onto the concrete floor I kept spotless. One truck was so big it scratched my shelving unit. And then came the sound of heels clicking on pavement. Karen, sunglasses perched on her head even though the sun was setting, strolled up like she owned the place. "Oh, hey Dan," she said cheerfully. "I hope you don't mind. I needed a little extra space. Just temporary, you know." I stood there, stunned. "You put 2 trucks in my garage?" She shrugged, waving her hand dismissively. "Oh, don't be so uptight. They'll only be here a while. I figured you weren't using it anyway." That was the moment I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was entitlement, plain and simple. The next morning, I confronted Karen again, expecting maybe an apology. Instead, she doubled down. She smirked. "Actually, I told a few neighbors that you agreed to let me use the garage. They all know it's mine now." I couldn't believe it. She'd spread lies around the block, claiming I had given her permission. To make matters worse, she changed the padlock on the garage door. My own garage, locked, with her trucks inside. When I demanded she move them out, she crossed her arms. "Dan, you're being unreasonable. You're retired. You don't even need the space. Those trucks are worth more than your house. You should be thanking me for keeping them safe." She started using the garage like her personal bragging rights. Neighbors overheard her telling guests she rented it from me. Some even believed her. But what Karen didn't know, and what I didn't tell her, was that she had just parked those trucks in counter-leased property. And the sheriff was not the type of man you wanted to mess with. See, 2 years before, the county sheriff's department had approached me about leasing part of my garage for secure storage. It was all official, signed on paper, notarized, and filed. Every month, they paid me rent. Every few weeks, deputies stopped by to check on equipment. It wasn't just my word against hers. It was the law. So instead of blowing up immediately, I waited. Quietly. I called Sheriff Grant, explained the situation, and sent him photos of the trucks inside. He didn't even hesitate. Leave it to us, Dan. Just keep her thinking she's in the right. That was music to my ears. Because while Karen strutted around bragging about her new garage, I knew it was only a matter of time before she trapped herself in her own arrogance. And the trap would spring in the most public, humiliating way possible. 2 weeks later, Karen decided to host a neighborhood cookout. She went all out. Balloons, banners, even hired a DJ. She used the garage as the centerpiece, throwing open the doors and showing off those trucks like trophies. "See this beauty?" she crowed to a small crowd. "This is why I needed the space." Dan's garage was just sitting there, wasted. Now look, it's finally useful. That's when the sheriff's department rolled up. 2 patrol cars parked right on her lawn, lights flashing. Deputies stepped out, clipboards in hand. The music cut. Conversations died. Everyone turned. Sheriff Grant himself walked over, towering above Karen, and said in a calm, measured voice, "Those trucks are parked in counter-leased property without authorization. This is trespassing." Karen's smile froze. "Excuse me? No, this is my garage now." The sheriff held up the lease agreement. "Signed by Mr. Dan here. Filed with the county clerk. You've interfered with official storage. That's a criminal offense." Karen sputtered, turned red, then tried arguing with the deputies. But it didn't matter. Within minutes, tow trucks were hauling her pickups away. Deputies wrote citations on the spot. And the neighborhood? They watched in stunned silence as Karen's empire crumbled before their eyes. Karen's humiliation spread fast. By Monday, everyone in town had heard how she'd lost her trucks and been cited for trespassing. The sheriff fined her heavily, and she had to pay thousands in towing fees. Her reputation? Destroyed. Neighbors who once believed her lies now kept their distance. Landlords threatened to terminate her lease. As for me, I didn't gloat. Sheriff Grant shook my hand and thanked me for staying patient. The garage was restored to order, their equipment safe once again. Karen's trucks? Gone. Her pride? Shattered. And her sense of entitlement? Well, let's just say reality came crashing down harder than those tow chains. Standing in front of my garage that evening, doors closed, padlock back in place, I thought about how entitlement works. Some people think the world owes them space, respect, or property just because they want it. But the truth is simple. What's yours is yours, and what's theirs is theirs. Karen learned that lesson the hard way.